If you enjoyed this audiobook, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge, and when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the book. Chapter 1. When Life Knocks You Down. Part 1. The Unexpected Storm. Markdown. Life often changes in a single moment. One phone call, one conversation, one test result can alter everything you thought was certain. This section explores those sudden challenges that arrive without invitation. Job losses, health crises, personal betrayals, and how they shake our foundations. You'll learn why acknowledging the shock and disorientation of these moments is actually the first step toward regaining footing. By understanding that storms are universal, you'll start seeing your own reactions not as weakness, but as part of being human. This prepares you to move from disorientation toward rebuilding. Consider Priya, a nurse who loved her work. Her shift ended normally on Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, hospital administrators eliminated her entire department during budget cuts. She sat in her car clutching a termination letter, replaying the words, "Your role no longer exists." Her mind raced between practical worries about bills and a deeper fear. What am I if not a nurse? That instant shift from security to uncertainty happens to countless people. What personal identity feels most threatened when life changes suddenly? Research shows our brains react to sudden crises much like physical threats. Heart rates spike, focus narrows, and rational thought temporarily shuts down. This explains why Raj, an engineer, couldn't process his wife's cancer diagnosis when the doctor first explained it. He mechanically took notes about treatment options while mentally replaying their beach vacation from weeks earlier. This detachment wasn't avoidance. It was his mind's emergency response. Only days later could he truly absorb the information. How does your body typically signal that you're in crisis mode? Modern resilience science confirms that initial emotional turbulence, anger, numbness, or panic, isn't just normal but necessary. Like a circuit breaker tripping during a power surge, these reactions protect us. When Ben's bakery burned down hours after his grand opening, his first week was consumed by alternating rage and listlessness. He slept past noon, snapped at friends offering help, and repeatedly drove past the charred building. Rather than judging these responses, his therapist encouraged him to simply observe. This is how my mind handles devastation right now. What uncomfortable reactions do you criticize in yourself that might actually be protective? The key insight from trauma studies is this. Fighting the reality of your storm prolongs suffering. Accepting that it happened allows movement forward. Elena spent months insisting her divorce paperwork must be a mistake before admitting her marriage was over. Her breakthrough came when she wrote 3 facts in a notebook. 1. My husband left. 2. I live alone now. 3. I feel terrible. This simple acknowledgement freed her to seek support. What current reality are you resisting that might need naming? Storms vary wildly. A teenager bullied at school, a farmer watching crops fail, a CEO facing bankruptcy. But the core experience unites us. Studies of disaster survivors reveal universal patterns: disorientation, emotional flooding, and eventual regrouping. Your particular crisis matters less than recognizing you're experiencing something fundamentally human. When was the last time you felt comforted knowing someone else shared your struggle? Moments of collapse often contain hidden invitations. After his injury ended a dancing career, Marcus noticed how he'd ignored his love for teaching. Kira discovered her anxiety attacks forced her to address childhood trauma she'd buried for decades. Their journeys began not with solutions, but with honestly answering, "What just happened to me?" That clear-eyed acceptance builds the foundation for everything that follows. Part 2. Finding your why. After the storm of a crisis passes, we face a quiet question. What now? This section offers a compass for that uncertainty. You'll discover how connecting to what truly matters, whether it's family, creativity, faith, or simple daily joys, becomes an anchor during life's roughest seas. We'll explore practical ways to identify your unique sources of meaning, using stories of ordinary people who transformed despair into determination. By the end, you'll have clear tools to uncover your personal why, the inner fire that fuels perseverance when obstacles seem overwhelming. Let's begin with a fundamental truth. Meaning isn't found in avoiding pain, but in what we build through it. Consider Carlos, a construction worker who shattered his leg in a fall. During months of recovery, he felt useless until his daughter asked him to teach her woodworking. Guiding her small hands to build a birdhouse reminded him, "My worth isn't in lifting heavy beams, but in lifting others up." That realization became his compass through grueling physical therapy. What small moment recently reminded you of what you value? Purpose often hides in plain sight. Think of Lena, who nearly quit teaching after a difficult school year. What kept her going? The memory of one former student, now a nurse, who'd written, "You showed me I could learn." Lena pinned that note to her desk. On hard days, she'd touch it and think, "This is why." Her purpose wasn't changing the whole education system, it was changing individual futures. What evidence of your impact exists that you might be overlooking? Finding your why starts with examining three areas: values, connections, and hopes. Values are your non-negotiables like integrity, curiosity, or compassion. Connections are the people or communities you serve. Hopes are the future selves or contributions you believe in. Try this tonight. Name one value you demonstrated today, one person you supported, and one hope you nurtured. Keep it simple. "I was patient with my son" counts. Viktor Frankl observed in concentration camps that those who maintained purpose survived unimaginable conditions. One man lived to rewrite his lost manuscript, another to care for a sick friend. Their why turned suffering from a prison into a passage. Modern research confirms this. ICU patients who articulate personal goals recover faster than those without clear motivations. How might your current struggle serve something larger than the pain itself? Practical steps help uncover purpose. First, notice when time flies. Those activities where you lose yourself often reveal passion. Second, identify non-negotiable moments, times you spoke up or acted despite fear. Third, ask, if I had 1 year left, what would I prioritize? Ben used this when burnout made him apathetic. His answers, coaching Little League and recording Grandma's stories, became touchstones. He started scheduling them first each week, not last. Where could you insert one meaningful moment into tomorrow? Purpose evolves. After Maya's divorce, her why shifted from being a perfect wife to modeling resilience for my students. She began sharing age-appropriate lessons about overcoming disappointment, something she'd never discussed before. Her vulnerability strengthened classroom trust. What old version of purpose might need updating for your current chapter? Doubt often surfaces when meaning feels small. Remember Eduardo, who dismissed his daily walks with a depressed neighbor as insignificant. Yet that routine gave structure to both their lives. Years later, the neighbor credited those walks with saving him. Purpose isn't about scale. It's about sincerity. What modest act matters more than you think? Finally, meaning multiplies when shared. When Annika started a support group after her miscarriage, she found healing in helping others navigate grief. Her pain became a bridge. This reflects a profound pattern. We often discover our why by serving others' why. Who around you might need the strength you've earned through hardship? Your purpose is both lighthouse and fuel, guiding through darkness and powering forward motion. Keep it visible. Write it on your mirror. Set phone reminders. Like Carlos teaching woodworking or Lena rereading her note, create tangible connections to your why. Next, we'll explore how this foundation supports the first small steps toward renewal. Part 3. The first step forward. After finding your why, the next challenge is movement. You know what matters, but how do you start when even small tasks feel overwhelming? This section tackles that critical moment, the space between intention and action. You'll discover why tiny steps matter more than grand plans and how ordinary people broke through paralysis. We'll share practical ways to begin when motivation falters, using goals so small they sidestep fear. Progress isn't about perfection, it's about momentum. One step, however shaky, changes everything. Let's explore how to begin again. Picture Leo, a teacher recovering from burnout. For weeks, he'd wake up determined to rebuild his career, only to freeze at his computer screen. His purpose, inspiring students, felt distant. One Tuesday, he set a 10-minute timer and wrote just 3 bullet points about lesson ideas. When the alarm rang, he stopped. The next day, he added 2 more points. These micro-actions felt insignificant, yet within a month, Leo had drafted a new teaching approach. His breakthrough wasn't dramatic effort. It was starting small enough to bypass resistance. What 2-minute action could you take right now? Research confirms Leo's experience. When facing setbacks, our brains often amplify threats, making tasks seem impossible. Neuroscientists call this threat rigidity. A tiny goal, like walking around the block or sending one email, reduces this overwhelm by giving the brain a concrete win. Each completed microtask releases dopamine, creating natural momentum. Think of it as pushing a stalled car. The initial nudge requires immense effort, but once rolling, less force is needed. What's one thing you could do today that would make tomorrow slightly easier? Here's how to apply this. First, shrink your goal until it feels effortless. Instead of find a new job, try update one line on my resume. Second, attach it to an existing habit. After brushing your teeth, spend 60 seconds visualizing your next step. Third, track attempts, not outcomes. Priya, a nurse after a medical error, marked a calendar each day she reviewed safety protocols for 5 minutes. Some days she studied deeply, others she just skimmed. After 30 marks, her confidence returned. Where could you create a visual progress tracker? Expect setbacks. Mara reopened her bakery post-flood, selling just 3 cookies on day 1. Instead of quitting, she celebrated reopening the register. When a supplier canceled, she focused on finding one alternative ingredient. Her recovery took months, but each small decision rebuilt her resilience. Progress resembles stitching a quilt. Individual stitches seem insignificant, but together they create warmth. When did a small effort later prove more valuable than you expected? Fear often masquerades as practicality. I'll start when I feel ready, we say. Yet readiness follows action, not the reverse. Consider Tom, paralyzed after divorce. His therapist suggested texting one friend good morning daily. He argued it was pointless until week 3, when a friend replied, "Miss you, coffee?" That connection became his lifeline. Courage isn't fearlessness. It's acting despite the whisper that says wait. What's the smallest evidence you could gather to challenge your doubts? Momentum thrives on consistency, not intensity. Setbacks shrink when you focus on showing up, not succeeding. A writer named Elena committed to typing 1 sentence daily after rejection. Some days produced garbage, others sparked chapters. After 200 days, she had a manuscript. Her key insight? 5 brilliant minutes beat 0 perfect hours. Your turn. What's your version of 1 sentence, an action so small that skipping it feels sillier than doing it? This path asks only for willingness, not certainty. Leo didn't have a career plan, he had 10 minutes. Mara didn't restore her bakery, she restocked flour. Action creates clarity. Stillness deepens doubt. Your next step needn't be bold. It need only exist. Part 4. Lessons from the fall. Imagine clearing debris after a storm. Among the wreckage, you find a seed pod split open, ready to sprout. This section explores how setbacks plant such seeds within us. We'll examine how ordinary people and famous figures mined wisdom from failure, transforming pain into practical insight about themselves, their relationships, and their path forward. You'll discover concrete methods to identify your own hidden lessons, turning adversity into your wisest teacher. After taking that first small step forward, like Elena writing daily, reflection becomes crucial. Consider Ben, a chef whose restaurant failed after 2 years. Initially devastated, he reviewed customer feedback and realized his complex dishes confused diners. This prompted him to simplify his approach. He started hosting pop-up dinners focusing on 3-ingredient meals. Surprisingly, bookings soared. Ben's failure taught him clarity beats cleverness. What overlooked detail in your setback might hold an answer? History brims with such transformations. Thomas Edison tested thousands of filament materials before creating the light bulb. Each failure eliminated options, sharpening his focus. He noted, "I never failed. I just found 10,000 ways that didn't work." Similarly, modern inventors iterate prototypes based on flaws. Your mistakes are data points, not dead ends. Which recent no or disappointment can you reframe as useful information? Pain also reshapes relationships. When Anya's chronic illness forced her to quit teaching, she felt isolated. But friends who brought groceries or sat silently with her revealed true support. She now recognizes quiet companionship matters more than grand gestures. This insight helps her comfort others without overcomplicating it. Hardship often teaches us about giving and receiving help. Who surprised you with kindness during tough times? Practical growth springs from analyzing the fall. Try this nightly exercise. 1. Name one thing today's challenge revealed about your limits or strengths. 2. Identify a belief that changed, e.g., asking for help isn't weakness. 3. Note one tiny adjustment for tomorrow. A study of resilient communities found that after natural disasters, survivors who journaled lessons recovered faster. Their notes became toolkits for future crises. Like them, document your insights while fresh. What single sentence captures your hardest-earned wisdom? Creativity often sparks in darkness. Graphic designer Carlos lost his biggest client, then spent weeks sketching absurd ideas. One doodle, a grumpy cloud, became a viral children's book character. Constraints forced innovation. When options narrow, ingenuity widens. What unexpected door opened when another closed? Strength isn't avoiding falls, it's learning why you tripped. Every stumble teaches balance. Carry those lessons forward. Chapter 2, The Power Inside You. Part 1, Grit in the Everyday. Think of grit not as a grand gesture, but as the quiet hum of your daily life. It's the choice to get out of bed when you're exhausted, the effort to be present for your family even when stressed, and the willingness to take one more small step toward a dream, no matter how distant it seems. This section moves beyond the idea of grit as superhuman endurance. Instead, we'll see it in the ordinary actions of people like you, facing everyday pressures. You'll discover how simple habits, like consistently showing up, asking why not after a setback, and simply trying again, build this powerful quality. Crucially, you'll learn that grit isn't something you're born with. It's something you grow through practice and kindness to yourself. We'll share practical ways to strengthen your everyday resilience and show why celebrating those tiny moments of courage matters deeply. Consider Jasmine, a single parent working long hours. Her dream of starting a small online craft business felt impossible. Grit wasn't about quitting her job instantly. It started when, utterly drained after putting her kids to bed, she spent just 15 minutes researching suppliers instead of scrolling social media. That was her showing up. When her first few handmade items didn't sell, she didn't give up. She stayed curious, asking a local craft group for feedback. Their suggestions were tough to hear, but she listened. Then came the willingness to try again. She adjusted her designs based on the feedback. What's one small task you often avoid, even though it moves you forward? Could you commit to just 15 minutes on it today? Jasmine's story highlights how grit is built in these quiet moments, not in overnight success. Angela Duckworth's research confirms this. Grit thrives on consistent effort, not innate talent. Think of it like building muscle. You wouldn't lift the heaviest weight on day one. Grit grows through manageable actions. Viktor Frankl's experience in concentration camps showed that finding purpose in suffering, even the purpose of maintaining one's dignity, provides the fuel to endure. For Jasmine, her purpose was creating a better future for her kids, her small daily actions connected to that bigger why. Ryan Holiday's Stoic principles remind us that obstacles are part of the path, not the end of it. Jasmine saw the lack of sales not as failure, but as information she needed. Here's how you can build this everyday grit. 1. The micro-commitment. Choose one tiny, non-negotiable action related to your goal. For Jasmine, it was 15 minutes of research. For you, it might be writing one paragraph, making one phone call, or taking a short walk. Do this daily, no matter what. Track it simply. A check mark on a calendar works. 2. The curiosity pause. When something goes wrong, pause. Instead of thinking, I failed, ask, what can I learn here? Jasmine asked the craft group why her items didn't sell. When was the last time a setback made you quit? What might you have learned if you'd paused to ask a question instead? 3. The again ritual. After a stumble, consciously decide to try once more. Say it out loud. Okay, I'll try again tomorrow. This builds the neural pathway for persistence, as Stephen Southwick and Dennis Charney observed in Resilient Individuals. David Goggins' extreme discipline highlights self-mastery, but Karen Rivich and Andrew Shadday emphasize self-compassion as equally vital. Beating yourself up drains energy. Acknowledge the effort. That was hard, and I did it. Celebrate showing up, not just the outcome. Jasmine celebrated sticking to her 15 minutes even before she made a sale. This consistent, compassionate practice, as Jim Lohr and Tony Schwartz note about energy management, prevents burnout and builds sustainable strength. Jasmine's story didn't end with instant success. It took months of these small actions. But each showing up, each question asked, each time she tried again, strengthened her resolve. Her craft business eventually grew, born from those daily acts of quiet courage. This cultivated resilience prepares you for bigger challenges, naturally leading to how we transform pain into purpose. Part 2. Turning pain into purpose. When Jasmine faced her business struggles, she built resilience through small daily actions. That same resilience can become a powerful tool for transformation. Deep pain often feels like an ending, but it can mark the beginning of something meaningful. Consider how your hardest experiences might fuel your greatest contributions. By using personal struggles to help others or create change, you heal while making a difference. Real people have walked this path, finding light in their darkest moments. Their stories show how purpose emerges from pain, and you can discover this too. Viktor Frankl observed in concentration camps that those who found meaning endured unimaginable suffering. His insight applies today. Purpose transforms victims into agents of change. Take Ben, who lost his daughter to a rare disease. His grief felt endless until he started a community fund for research. Organizing charity runs gave him focus. "Helping others saved me," he says. The fund raised over $200,000, but Ben's healing came from connecting families facing similar pain. What hurt might you carry that could connect you to others? Research by Southwick and Charney shows that helping others activates brain pathways linked to resilience. Purpose redirects pain's energy. Lena battled addiction for years. After recovery, she trained as a counselor. Now she guides people through rehab, using her past struggles to spot warning signs others miss. Her relapse prevention program has a 60% success rate. Lena's pain became her expertise. "My worst moments taught me how to listen," she explains. This mirrors Ryan Holiday's Stoic principle. Obstacles become advantages when we shift perspective. Starting this process requires reflection, not grand plans. Ask yourself, what did my struggle teach me that others need to know? Begin small. Share your story anonymously online. Volunteer with a related cause. Sandberg and Grant call this finding option B, building joy by creating meaning from loss. One teacher, recovering from depression, started a lunch group for isolated students. Her pain helped her see their loneliness. Within months, attendance tripled. Purpose doesn't erase suffering, but it rewrites its role in your life. Like Ben and Lena, you gain strength by turning wounds into wisdom. Your experience becomes a compass guiding others through similar storms. This creates what Taleb terms anti-fragility, where hardship fuels growth. Your next step? Identify one person who'd benefit from your hard-won insights. A brief conversation can spark change for you both. As Frankl wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Your pain holds unseen potential. Use it to light the way. Part 3. The voice that won't quit. That inner voice in your head never stops talking. It comments on everything you do, especially when life gets hard. During tough times, this voice can become your harshest critic or your strongest ally. What you tell yourself directly shapes your ability to bounce back. This part shows how to transform that inner dialogue from enemy to friend. You'll learn simple ways to catch unhelpful thoughts and rewrite them into messages of strength. By practicing these techniques, you build a mindset that fuels persistence, even when obstacles seem overwhelming. Let's explore how your own words can become your most powerful tool for resilience. Consider Ben, an architect who lost his biggest client. His inner chatter whispered, "You're finished in this industry." He felt paralyzed, avoiding calls and new opportunities. Then Ben tried a simple shift. Each time that thought arose, he asked, "Is this truly accurate?" He listed past successes, the community center he designed, the awards he'd won. Slowly, he replaced "I'm finished" with "This is one setback, I've overcome others." Within months, he secured 2 new contracts. His story reveals a key truth. We can choose which inner messages to amplify. Negative thought patterns often follow predictable paths. Catastrophizing assumes the worst possible outcome. If I fail this interview, I'll end up homeless. Personalization blames oneself for events beyond control. My team missed the deadline because I'm incompetent. These distortions thrive in isolation but crumble under examination. When Priya's bakery nearly closed during a recession, she spiraled into thoughts like, "No one will ever support my dreams." Then she began writing down these statements and rating their truthfulness on a scale of 1 to 10. Seeing them on paper made their exaggeration obvious. What evidence contradicts this? She'd ponder. Her regular customers still praised her bread. Her suppliers offered flexible payments. This practice helped her reframe. Times are tough, but my community values what I create. Practical strategies make this mental shift achievable. Start by noticing physical cues. A clenched jaw or slumped shoulders often signal negative self-talk. Pause and name the thought. There's my "I'm not enough" story again. Next, challenge it with detective questions. Would I say this to my best friend? What's one piece of evidence against this thought? Finally, craft a balanced replacement. This project is challenging, not impossible. I've solved hard problems before. Diego used this approach during his cancer treatment. When fear whispered, "You can't handle this," he'd counter aloud, "Today is difficult, but I'm still breathing, still fighting." His nurses noticed how this ritual steadied his emotions. Building a supportive inner voice requires consistent practice, not perfection. Think of it like strengthening a muscle. Small daily repetitions create lasting change. Clara sets a phone reminder to check her self-talk 3 times daily. During each check-in, she identifies one critical thought and rephrases it kindly. Last Tuesday, "My presentation was a disaster" became "The client had questions, which means they're engaged. I'll clarify next time." Within weeks, this habit reduced her anxiety spikes. What phrase do you often beat yourself up with? How could you soften its edges? Research confirms that nurturing constructive self-dialogue rewires our neural pathways. MRI scans show that practicing self-compassion activates brain regions linked to emotional regulation. This isn't about empty positivity. It's about truthful, constructive language. Studies of disaster survivors reveal that those who framed challenges with phrases like, "I can take this step by step," recovered faster than those stuck in "why me" loops. Your words shape your biological stress response, calming cortisol levels when you shift from panic to possibility. As you master this internal conversation, you prepare for life's inevitable storms. The next section will reveal how these practiced responses let you emerge stronger from hardship. For now, remember, your most frequent conversation, the one inside your head, holds immense power over your resilience. It's time to make it work for you, not against you. Part 4, Growing Stronger from Struggle. After learning how your inner voice can steady you through storms, consider this. What if the very struggles that test you could also transform you? Research shows that facing adversity often sparks remarkable personal growth. This doesn't mean the pain vanishes or that hardship becomes easy. Instead, many discover hidden strengths and deeper perspectives within their recovery. Think about fire reshaping metal. Heat weakens it temporarily, but controlled tempering creates enduring resilience. Your challenges might forge unexpected qualities within you too. Let's explore how ordinary people have found strength in their scars and how you can recognize your own growth. Take Diego, a construction worker who lost his dominant arm in an accident. At first, he saw only limitation. But during rehabilitation, he noticed small victories, learning to write left-handed, adapting tools for one-handed use. Slowly, frustration sparked innovation. He began sketching designs for accessible worksite equipment. That painful chapter didn't just heal his body, it awakened a creative problem-solving skill he'd never tapped. Now his safety inventions protect others. His story reveals a key insight. Struggle often rewires our brains for adaptability. Neuroscientists find that overcoming obstacles builds new neural pathways, enhancing creative thinking. Consider Aisha, whose battle with illness left her isolated for months. Her recovery brought an unexpected gift, profound empathy. Having experienced vulnerability firsthand, she now recognizes subtle cues of distress in others. She volunteers at a community center, where her journey helps comfort those facing similar trials. This illustrates another common growth pattern. Hardship frequently deepens human connection. Studies of trauma survivors show many develop heightened compassion and emotional intelligence. You might wonder, how do I spot growth when I'm still hurting? Start by noticing subtle shifts. Did you discover courage during a job loss by finally starting that side business? Did caregiving teach you patience that improves all your relationships? Growth isn't about erasing suffering. It's about weaving those threads into your identity. Like Kira, who survived bankruptcy. She admits the fear still surfaces, but managing that crisis taught her financial discipline. Now she mentors young entrepreneurs, turning her past panic into practical guidance. Reflect. What strength have you developed that you couldn't see before your struggle? Write one sentence naming it. My divorce taught me to set boundaries. Or surviving that accident made me appreciate small joys. Keep it visible. Celebrating these hard-won qualities integrates them into your daily life. This prepares you for the next chapter, where we'll examine how ordinary persistence builds extraordinary resilience over time. Your struggles have already begun transforming you. Acknowledge that strength. It's proof of your capacity to endure and evolve. Chapter 3. Bouncing Back, Moving Ahead. Part 1. Small Wins, Big Changes. Consider the power of a single step. When facing overwhelming challenges, the idea of complete recovery can feel impossible. Yet history and research reveal a quiet truth. Monumental shifts often begin with tiny triumphs. This section explores how modest, consistent victories rebuild confidence and momentum after setbacks. You'll discover practical methods to identify achievable goals, measure incremental progress, and harness these successes to fuel greater resilience. Real stories will illustrate how ordinary people transform their lives through this approach, proving that small wins aren't just consolation prizes, they're the hidden engines of lasting change. Lena felt paralyzed after her business failed. Bills piled up and self-doubt clouded her thoughts. One morning, she committed to one tiny action, organizing her desk. This 10-minute task gave her a flicker of control. She then wrote one job application, just one. When she received a callback, it wasn't the job offer that mattered most. It was the proof that her actions mattered. Within months, Lena's daily micro-achievements, researching 3 companies, emailing one contact, rebuilt her confidence brick by brick. What's one clutter spot in your life that, if cleared, might spark momentum? Scientific studies explain Lena's turnaround. Each small win triggers dopamine release, boosting motivation and reducing stress. This biochemical shift creates what researchers call an upward spiral, where one accomplishment naturally fuels the next. Think of it like lighting candles in a dark room. Each flame brightens the space incrementally until the entire room glows. Raj experienced this after knee surgery. His first goal? Stand unassisted for 15 seconds. He celebrated that win before attempting 30 seconds. How might breaking a current challenge into 15-second steps alter your approach? To replicate this, start with micro-targets. Instead of get fit, aim for walk around the block once. Record these in a simple notebook or app. Visual proof accumulates faster than you expect. Theo used sticky notes on his mirror, adding one for each day he cooked dinner post-divorce. Seeing 7 notes in a week revealed patterns he couldn't deny. He was capable of consistency. Celebration matters too. Acknowledge wins verbally. I did well today, or with small rewards like a favorite tea. What's your version of Theo's sticky notes? These strategies work because they rewire perspective. Small wins transform abstract fears into manageable tasks. They build what psychologists call efficacy beliefs, the certainty that your efforts create change. After 6 months of micro-wins, Lena landed freelance work, Raj walked pain-free, and Theo hosted friends for dinner. Their journey started not with leaps, but with steps barely visible to others. As we'll explore next, this newfound confidence makes releasing old burdens easier. But for now, consider, what miniature victory can you claim today? Part 2. The Art of Letting Go. Consider how those small wins you've been collecting, like Theo's sticky notes, prepare you for something bigger. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase everywhere. Eventually, you'd set it down to move freely. That's what letting go offers. Freedom. It doesn't mean you failed or quit. Instead, it's choosing to release what weighs you down. Old resentments, unrealistic expectations, or roles that no longer fit. Think of a tree shedding dead leaves to make room for new growth. What might you need to shed? Priya held on to anger for years after a colleague betrayed her. She replayed the incident daily, her energy drained. Then she tried a simple exercise, writing a letter she'd never send, detailing her hurt. After burning it safely, she felt lighter. This act didn't excuse the harm, but freed her from its grip. Studies show that forgiveness like this reduces stress and improves health. How would your life shift if you released just one old grudge? Ben struggled after losing his job. He kept introducing himself with his old title, clinging to an identity that no longer existed. His breakthrough came when he listed what he still had: skills, family, curiosity, and focused on those. Like Viktor Frankl observed in concentration camps, finding meaning in what remains builds resilience. Ben started volunteering, discovering new purpose. What identity or expectation might you be clinging to? Practical tools help. Acceptance. Acknowledge reality without judgment. Clara's chronic illness forced her to accept limits. Instead of fighting fatigue, she adjusted her goals. Small wins, like resting without guilt, became her foundation. Forgiveness. Separate the person from the act. As research in resilience, the science notes, viewing others as flawed humans, not villains, eases pain. Physical release. Try placing a stone in your palm, then dropping it. Symbolize releasing burdens. Letting go creates space. After Ben's career shift, he found unexpected joy in teaching. Priya's freed energy fueled her art. Like a river flowing around obstacles, they moved forward. Ryan Holiday's Stoic principles remind us, obstacles become paths when we adapt. What new possibility could open if you made space? This isn't about erasing the past, but reframing it. Your next step? Rewrite your story with the strength you've uncovered. Part 3. Rewriting your story. Think of your life as a book you're writing every day. After letting go of old burdens, you have blank pages to fill. This part shows how to become the author of your story. You'll learn to reframe past events and craft a narrative of strength. Real people have done this, turning job loss into entrepreneurship, heartbreak into self-discovery, or failure into growth. We'll use simple exercises to help you spot unhelpful beliefs and rewrite them. You'll see how changing your story changes your reality. Let's begin with a truth. You can't control what happens, but you control what it means. Consider Ren, who felt trapped by his "I'm unlucky" story after multiple job rejections. He journaled his experiences, noticing patterns. One entry read, "Failed third interview this month. I'll never succeed." His breakthrough came when he asked, "What if these rejections are guiding me toward better opportunities?" He reframed his narrative. Each no teaches me how to improve. Within months, he landed a role perfectly matching his values. Our brains cling to familiar narratives, even painful ones. Research shows we repeat stories that reinforce our self-view. A study of disaster survivors found those who saw themselves as learning through hardship recovered faster than those stuck in "why me" thinking. Try this exercise now. 1. Choose one challenging experience. 2. Write 2 sentences describing it as a victim might. 3. Rewrite those sentences as an empowered author would. For example, old, "My divorce destroyed me. I'll always be alone." Rewritten, "My divorce taught me about my needs. Now I build healthier connections." Notice the shift? The facts didn't change. The meaning did. Lena's story shows this power. After her injury ended a dancing career, she told herself, "My best years are gone." This belief kept her depressed until she volunteered at a community theater. Guiding young performers, she discovered new purpose. Her revised narrative, "I now help others shine." What old story are you ready to rewrite? Small changes in language create big shifts. Instead of "I survived abuse," try "I reclaimed my strength." Swap "chronic illness controls me" for "I adapt and find joy daily." These aren't denial, they're perspective tools. Practical steps for lasting change. Carry a notebook for 1 week. Jot down self-defeating thoughts when they arise. For each thought, ask, "Does this help me grow? What's a kinder interpretation?" Share your rewritten story with a trusted friend. Speaking it aloud makes it real. Remember Ben from earlier? After leaving corporate life, he first saw himself as washed up. Now he tells students, "I get to ignite young minds daily." His joy is palpable. This isn't about erasing pain. It's about acknowledging hardship while honoring your resilience. Viktor Frankl, who endured concentration camps, wrote that meaning comes from our response to suffering. When you own your narrative, you reclaim agency. Your past becomes prologue, not prison. As you practice, you'll notice subtle changes. Where you once saw dead ends, you'll spot detours. Where you felt powerless, you'll find choices. And soon, you'll be ready to discover hidden gifts in your challenges. Part 4. The gift in the challenge. Life rarely goes as planned. When challenges arise, they can feel like roadblocks. But within every setback lies a hidden possibility. A lesson, a new path, or a deeper understanding of your own strength. This isn't about pretending hardship is easy. It's about learning to spot the unexpected benefits that often accompany difficulty. By shifting your focus, even slightly, you can begin to see these gifts. This part explores simple ways to uncover them using gratitude and curiosity. You'll discover how others found surprising opportunities in their struggles and how you can start to do the same, one step at a time. Consider Lena, a graphic designer who lost her job unexpectedly. At first, she felt defeated and anxious. Bills piled up and her confidence sank. Instead of only seeing the loss, she chose to get curious. What small opportunities might this open up? She remembered her passion for teaching art to children, something she never had time for. Lena started offering free online drawing tutorials in her community. This small act led to unexpected connections. A local community center noticed her work and offered her a part-time teaching role. The gift in her job loss wasn't just a new career path. It was the chance to do work that truly mattered to her. Have you ever experienced a setback that later revealed a new direction you hadn't considered? Finding these hidden gifts starts with simple shifts in attention. Gratitude plays a key role. It doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means actively noticing what's still good or what you're learning. Think of it like adjusting a dimmer switch on a light. You gradually brighten your focus on the positive aspects still present. Research shows this practice builds resilience by rewiring how our brains respond to stress. Curiosity works alongside it. Ask yourself open questions. What might I learn from this? Or could this lead to something I haven't imagined yet? Ben, a factory worker, faced a serious health diagnosis that forced him to slow down. He began keeping a daily note of 3 small things he felt thankful for, like a warm cup of tea or a phone call from his sister. This habit helped him see the gift in his illness. It taught him to value everyday moments and deepened his relationships. What small thing could you feel thankful for today, even amid difficulty? It's important to remember that uncovering these gifts isn't an instant task. It's a gradual process, and it's okay if the benefit isn't clear right away. Sometimes the only gift you see at first is your own endurance, the realization that you're stronger than you thought. A respected psychologist who endured unimaginable hardship observed that people who actively looked for purpose, however small, managed better emotionally. They found strength in tiny choices, like sharing a kindness or focusing on a hopeful thought. This mirrors modern findings. Resilience grows when we actively seek meaning, not when we wait for it to appear. You can start cultivating this skill today with practical steps. Try keeping a simple journal. Each evening, note one challenge you faced and one potential gift it offered, even if it's just, "I learned I can ask for help." Don't judge your answers. The goal is practice, not perfection. Another approach is to reframe obstacles mentally. When a problem arises, pause and ask, "What is this teaching me?" Or "How might this connect me to something new?" These questions turn setbacks into puzzles to solve, not walls to hit. Think back to a past difficulty. What inner strength did you develop because of it? Often the gifts we find in adversity, like Lena's new purpose or Ben's deeper connections, are the very things that shape a more resilient, fulfilling life. Stay open. The surprise might be just around the corner. Chapter 4. Thriving, Not Just Surviving. Part 1. Building Your Resilience Toolkit. Life doesn't always go as planned. When challenges hit, having practical strategies makes all the difference. This section helps you build a personalized resilience toolkit, simple habits and perspectives that help you recover faster and stand stronger. You'll discover research-backed methods used by real people facing adversity, from daily mindfulness techniques to reframing negative thoughts. These aren't rigid rules, but flexible tools you can adapt to your life. Think of it as gathering resources for a journey. Some will fit in your pocket, others become trusted companions. What tools would help you face tomorrow's uncertainties with more confidence? Resilience works like a physical muscle. It strengthens through regular practice. Consider mindfulness, which simply means noticing your thoughts without judgment. When Priya felt overwhelmed by work deadlines, she started pausing for 3 breaths before replying to emails. This small habit created space between stress and reaction. Research shows even brief daily mindfulness can reduce anxiety by 40%. What's one situation where pausing could change your response? Self-care forms another critical tool, yet it's often misunderstood. It's not about indulgence, but meeting basic needs consistently. Leo, a nurse during the pandemic, neglected sleep and meals until exhaustion affected his work. He began preparing overnight oats before bed, ensuring one nutritious meal daily. Within weeks, his energy and focus improved. True self-care builds from physical foundations: hydration, movement, rest. When did you last check in with your body's needs? Support networks act as scaffolding during tough times. After her divorce, Maria isolated herself, believing she should handle everything alone. Her breakthrough came when she texted a friend, "Can we walk tomorrow? I'm struggling." That vulnerability strengthened their bond and sparked a weekly support group. Studies confirm social connection predicts resilience more than IQ or status. Who could you reach out to this week without waiting for crisis? Flexible thinking transforms obstacles. When Ahmed's bakery closed during lockdown, he saw disaster until a customer asked about online classes. He filmed tutorials in his tiny kitchen, eventually reaching global students. This reframing skill, viewing problems as puzzles, comes from cognitive behavioral research. What current challenge could you reinterpret as an opportunity? Your toolkit should fit you personally. Eva tried meditation apps but felt restless. She discovered journaling worked better, scribbling thoughts each morning. Meanwhile, Ben found peace in woodworking, his form of mindfulness. Experiment without pressure. Test one tool for 2 weeks, then adjust or replace it. Which strategy feels most natural to you? Which stretches you productively? Long-term resilience means rotating tools. Omar combines morning gratitude lists with weekly basketball games for mental and physical release. During tax season, his accountant wife leans on yoga and Friday dinners with siblings. Both return to work refreshed. How could you pair different practices like this? Progress builds through consistency, not perfection. Nadia missed several journaling days but celebrated writing once weekly. That self-compassion kept her going until it became habit. Remember Viktor Frankl's insight: between stimulus and response lies a space where choice grows. Your tools expand that space. What one action will you take today to strengthen your resilience? Part 2. Joy in the journey. Resilience tools create space between hardship and reaction. But what fills that space? Imagine carrying a heavy backpack uphill. Stopping to admire the view doesn't lighten your load. It renews your strength to keep climbing. That's the power of finding joy along the journey. Consider Mateo, an ICU nurse during pandemic surges. His resilience toolkit included breathing exercises and peer support. Yet exhaustion lingered until he started writing Rose moments, tiny daily joys like a patient's smile or sunlight through windows. These weren't escapes from reality, but lifelines within it. Research confirms that noticing positive moments during stress lowers inflammation markers and improves problem solving. What ordinary beauty did you overlook today? Humor acts as psychological shock absorption. When Priya's bakery flooded, she posted photos of floating croissants with captions like "French pastries taking swimming lessons." Regulars rallied to fund repairs. Laughter reduced her cortisol levels while strengthening community bonds. Play similarly rewires our brains. Building pillow forts with his kids helped engineer Derek cope with job uncertainty. Both chose to respond to crises with lightness, not denying pain, but refusing to let it dominate every moment. Gratitude transforms perspective. After losing her mobility, artist Lynn began gratitude mapping, sketching 3 things she appreciated daily. This practice, backed by neuroscience studies, gradually reactivated her brain's reward pathways. Her wheelchair became a vantage point for observing street life that inspired new paintings. Viktor Frankl observed that even in concentration camps, those who found meaning in small kindnesses survived better. What hardship could you reinterpret through appreciation? Celebrating progress matters. Leo felt stuck recovering from bankruptcy until he started milestone markers, simple rituals like lighting a candle for each debt paid. These acknowledgments released dopamine, fueling his motivation. Studies show recognizing small wins builds resilience more effectively than focusing solely on end goals. Creating joy requires intention. Try the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. Pause to identify 5 colors, 4 textures, 3 sounds, 2 scents, and 1 flavor. This sensory inventory interrupts stress cycles. Schedule joy appointments, 15 minutes daily, for anything that sparks delight, whether dancing to old songs or petting neighborhood cats. These practices aren't indulgences, but emotional armor. As one trauma survivor shared, Joy didn't erase my grief. It gave me proof I was still alive beneath it. When darkness feels overwhelming, what tiny light can you kindle right now? Part 3. Sharing strength with others. Human resilience doesn't grow in isolation. Think of it like a campfire. One ember flickers weakly alone, but many together create lasting warmth and light. This section shows how leaning on others and letting them lean on you transforms personal struggles into shared victories. You'll discover practical ways to build supportive communities, ask for help without shame, and discover how giving support fuels your own strength. Real stories prove that connection isn't just comforting, it's catalytic. By the end, you'll know how to weave stronger bonds that help everyone weather life's storms. After learning to find joy in small moments, consider how that light multiplies when shared. When Priya lost her brother, she isolated herself until her neighbor Thomas knocked with soup and silence, just sitting with her without demands. That simple act became a lifeline. Later, Priya volunteered at a grief center, not as an expert, but as someone who understood the weight of loss. Helping teens process their pain gave her purpose while honoring her brother. Support works both ways. Receiving help teaches us how to give it. Who in your life needs you to show up quietly without fixing anything? Many hesitate to ask for help, fearing burden, but studies show people consistently underestimate others' willingness to assist. Try the reverse favor approach. When you need support, frame it as an opportunity for connection. Say, "I'd value your perspective on this challenge. Could we grab coffee Thursday?" This makes helping feel collaborative, not charitable. Mark used this when overwhelmed by parenting special needs twins. Asking friends for grocery runs felt impossible until he said, "Could you teach me your meal prep tricks while we shop?" Suddenly, helpers felt useful, not put upon. Create intentional support networks. Lena formed a resilience pod with 3 colleagues after burnout. They meet bi-weekly for 20-minute strength shares. Each names one struggle and one resource, like a helpful app or breathing technique. No advice giving, just listening and noting patterns. Over months, they've built a shared toolkit and caught early signs of stress in each other. What small group could you start with neighbors or coworkers? Mutual aid strengthens everyone involved. Veterans, hiking groups, show this powerfully. Those further along in recovery guide newcomers, finding purpose in their progress. Similarly, addiction recovery programs thrive through shared storytelling. Hearing "Me Too" dissolves shame faster than any therapy alone. When have you felt less alone after hearing someone's honest struggle? Offering support also builds our own resilience. Neuroscientists found that helping others activates brain regions linked to reward and reduces stress hormones. After Carlos lost his job, tutoring kids at the library gave him structure and self-worth while job hunting. His students' progress reminded him growth was possible. What skill could you share, even while facing your own challenges? These connections become cornerstones for rebuilding. As we learn to both give and receive, we gather strength for the next chapter, one where hope becomes actionable, not just abstract. Part 4. Looking forward with hope. Hope isn't a distant promise. It's the compass we build through daily choices. This section shows how small, intentional actions create momentum even when life feels uncertain. You'll learn practical ways to nurture realistic optimism, reimagine possibilities, and anchor yourself in evidence of your own adaptability. Discover how others transformed what-if fears into what-next energy, using science-backed strategies that fit messy realities. These aren't abstract ideals, but tools tested in real setbacks, helping you design a forward path that honors both struggle and growth. Layla felt stuck after her business failed. Her days blurred into scrolling job boards and replaying mistakes. Then she tried a simple experiment. Each morning, she wrote one sentence about a tiny step forward, email Maya about freelance work, or walk to the park bench. At first, it felt pointless, but after 2 weeks, those sentences became a map. She noticed patterns. I always feel braver after talking to Eva, or researching new industries excites me. What small action could you commit to daily for 1 week? Like Layla, you might discover your own clues about what fuels momentum. Research shows hope thrives when we balance honesty about challenges with faith in our capacity. Psychologists call this grounded optimism. Thomas used this after his injury ended his athletic career. He acknowledged grief in therapy sessions, but also listed transferable skills: discipline, teamwork, analyzing opponents. This led him to coach youth teams, a role he'd never considered but now loves. His story reveals a key shift. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen?" he asked, "What can I build with what remains?" What existing strength could you redirect toward a new goal? Dreaming feels risky when you've been hurt. That's why rebuilding hope often starts with micro-commitments. Try this three-part practice. First, identify one value that matters to you, like creativity or community. Second, brainstorm 3 tiny actions aligned with it, e.g., sketch for 10 minutes or text a friend. Third, schedule one action within 24 hours. Lena used this after her divorce. She chose curiosity as her value, then visited a botanical garden, a place she'd avoided since her wedding. That small trip sparked her interest in urban gardening, which grew into a volunteer role. Notice how values anchor us when big plans feel overwhelming. Setbacks will come. Hope isn't about avoiding them, but trusting your response. When Ben's bakery flooded weeks after opening, he almost quit. Instead, he documented the cleanup on social media. Customers rallied, pre-ordering pastries and donating supplies. His vulnerability turned disaster into community proof. Sales tripled after reopening. This illustrates a resilience principle. Every challenge holds data about what and who sustains us. What past obstacle revealed an unexpected resource you could rely on again? Tomorrow isn't a blank page, it's built with today's choices. Start where you are. Plant one seed of possibility through action. Record evidence of your adaptability. Let others see you're trying. Hope grows in the doing.